babes, and welcome back to another video. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back and kicking it with your girl. I appreciate the likes, the shares, the comments, the messages. I appreciate all of it. Thank you so much for supporting me, my work, and I love you. That's just it. If you're new here, my name is Cheyenne. I am the face behind and founder of Soulful Soothe, which is a place for women to come soothe the soul. Today we are continuing the Astrology 101 series, where I give you tidbits, basic vocabulary, basic knowledge of astrology so that you can have a little bit of a starting point. I remember when I was first learning astrology, I felt so very confused and very overwhelmed because I was hearing people use all this jargon and terminology that I just wasn't privy to. So with this series, my aim, my goal, my purpose, and mission is to help give you a base level of vocabulary and a base level of astrology knowledge so that you can build upon it, whether that's for personal use or you building a brand or a business or you being able to talk to people at a cocktail hour. I want to help you be able to sound as smart as you actually are. So with that being said, today's video is going to be talking about aspects. What are they, and the different types of aspects that exist, as well as what those aspects may mean. Before we get into the different types of aspects that exist, I'm going to define what an aspect is. Maybe take a shot every time I say the word aspect in this video, because I feel like I'm about to say aspect a lot. But an aspect is really just a fancy term that means two astral bodies are communicating with each other. Now, they can be communicating in a very powerful way. They can be communicating in a more benefic or a positive way, or they can be communicating in a malefic or a more what we might consider as negative way. I'm going to start with the powerful aspects, go to, let's start with negatives, then we'll go negative, then we'll go positive. Okay, so let's start with a conjunction. A conjunction is just a fancy term for when two astral bodies are in the same exact sign as each other. A lot of times when I'm hearing about this on the internet, I hear people kind of group conjunctions in with the more positive aspects, and that's not 100% accurate. A conjunction is just a very powerful aspect. It's powerful communication between two planets, meaning that they are 0 degrees apart in the same zodiac sign. Now, this can be a positive thing if both of the planets are not Saturn or Mars or Pluto. Those are some of the heavier outer planets, and so they tend to bring lessons with more longevity. So long-term lessons that you might be learning throughout your life, or lessons that may come in a more painful way. Now we'll get into that a little bit further into the series, or maybe if I turn this into a course, we'll talk about that more in detail. But just know that a conjunction is not necessarily positive and it's not necessarily negative. It just is, and it is powerful. Now let's talk about the negative or the malefic aspects that you may see between two astral bodies. Starting with an all-time favorite, girly pop, square. So a square just means that two signs are 90 degrees apart from each other. This means that these two astral bodies cannot see eye to eye because they are so entrenched in their own personal values and what they stand for. Meaning, it's not easy for these two astral bodies to compromise. Translation, how you might feel this aspect is you might have some internal conflict, or you might be experiencing external conflict with another person, place, or entity. An opposition is when two planets, two astral bodies are 180 degrees apart from each other. This is more of those like fated events, if you believe in fate, if you believe that certain life events are predestined before you even get to this planet. When we look at a birth chart and we see opposition, it obviously means as the word suggests, opposites, opposition, the ops, people that are not on the same page as you, or life events that may throw you off kilter, throw you off your square. Now, speaking of square, let's go back and talk about square for just a teensy bit. The major difference between a square and an opposition, or at least the way I like to look at it, is that a square is more of an opportunity for change. Now, I know that that probably sounds generic because every single life event, everything that happens to us in life is actually happening for us. It's an opportunity to grow, to reflect, to prosper, really. I truly firmly believe that. Now, when I'm in the thick of things, I might know that, but it doesn't feel good. And I'm sure you've had situations and circumstances in your personal life where you're just like, this doesn't feel good, and I really can't see how this could ever possibly turn into a positive. But trust me, trust and believe that it is for your greatest good. With squares, there's more of an opportunity for you to grin and bear things, but not bear in the sense of you becoming a doormat or you taking people's shit. It's more so in the sense of, if you really hone in and focus on what that challenge is and allow yourself to think outside of the box for potential solutions and ways to rectify the situation, you can be successful and you can overcome. Whereas with an opposition, this is just something that, as life happens, it just happens, and it's just a part of the process. Now, I'm not going to say that you can't overcome an obstacle that may be presented to you in an opposition aspect, but the chances of you getting rid of that thing completely are very slim to none, is what I will say. Now let's talk about more of the benefic or the positive aspects that you may see in an astral chart. There are two benefic or positive aspects that you'll see in an astral chart: sextile and trine. We're going to talk about them both individually and then talk about them together so that we can draw some differences between the two, because it's so easy, especially when I was learning this, at least, it was so easy for me to confuse sextile and trine and opposition and square, just because I was like, oh, they both do the same thing. Like, they're both challenges and they're both positives or strikes of good luck, but that's not necessarily true. So I'm gonna break it down for you. A sextile is when two planets are 60 degrees apart from each other. This is a transit that is very harmonious. It brings a lot of ease, a lot of flow, something that you don't necessarily have to try too hard at. But here's where it kind of differs from trines. A sextile is, I like to look at it as a strike of good luck. And what do we define good luck as? We define good luck as when hard work and dedication meets an opportunity. So a sextile might indicate that an opportunity is presented to you, or if you're pulling this chart for a group of people or a location, this is an opportunity that's going to be beneficial, or can be, has the potential to be beneficial for that group of people or for that location. Now, let's talk about trines. Trines are when two planets, two astral bodies, are 120 degrees away from each other. Now, trines are a little bit more harmonious, I feel like, because you literally don't have to lift a finger for this to happen. This is kind of like an opposition, whereas I was saying that with oppositions, you can't really get rid of the thing. It's just kind of going to be there for your life, and you have to learn how to manage and how to kind of cope through that theme. Trines are the same way. You don't have to really lift a finger, and there's nothing that you can really do to amplify a trine. A trine is just there as like, think of it as the universe balancing things out. The universe looks at you and says, hey, I know that the oppositions that I put in your birth chart are kind of challenging and very difficult. And so here's a piece of candy, or here's a treat, whatever tickles your fancy. Here's something that makes life a little bit sweeter, a little bit easier, and people are going to look at you and be jealous for this specific thing. So just to quickly recap before I wrap this video up, we talked about aspects and the 5 major aspects that exist. We talked about conjunctions being powerful, not positive or negative. They're just neutral. They're just there. We talked about oppositions being challenges that you may face over the entire course of your life, but you're not really able to get rid of. We talked about squares, which are, yes, challenges, but if you put in some dedication, a little bit of elbow grease, you might be able to overcome those challenging things of your life. We also talked about sextiles, which are positive opportunities that are granted to you and can be beneficial to your overall life if you put in a little bit of elbow grease and you continue to go with the momentum of that opportunity. And last but not least, we talked about trines, where you don't have to lift a single finger. Think of this as the universe being your sugar daddy, and you could just have whatever you want. So I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that it illuminated for you a little bit more of astrology speak. I hope that you can go back on TikTok, Instagram, whatever social media platform of your choice, and you can scroll and come across astrology videos and have a little bit more of your own personal knowledge so you can know what the heck even is going on when you see any of these videos online. Because this is a series, the Astrology 101 series, you know that you can definitely find more videos where this came from. I'm going to put a card above or in the description down below a link to the entire series so that you can binge all the information you need, as well as come back to this video and use it as a resource in your toolbox. But without further ado, thank you so much for tuning in and spending some time with me. I love you so much, and until the next video, ciao.